I like to have options. That's why this reversible beanie is great. It's two looks with one hat.
Hey guys, it's Bethany with ABCuteCreations here with another tutorial for you. I don't know about you, but I've had a really tough time finding a decent hat pattern for a guy that I really like and that also keeps their head warm. So I decided to come up with this reversible beanie. I love the way that this turned out. It's super thick, so it'll keep them nice and warm in the winter time. Plus, it has two sides, so they can choose which look they're going for. In this tutorial, I will be showing you how to make a men's reversible beanie in a size extra large. You can easily adjust the size of it by picking up less stitches around the top of the brim. Here are the supplies you'll need to follow along with this tutorial. Crochet hooks. I used a larger size for the brim. For working up the brim, I used a size K or 6.5 millimeter. And for working up the body of the hat, I used a size I or 5.5 millimeter. Scissors, yarn, any size 4 worsted weight yarn will do, and a needle for weaving in your thread. Let's get started. To get started, we need to work up the brim of our hat. So because it's for a guy, I'm going to make it a little bit longer on the brim. If I was going to use this for a woman or somebody with a smaller size head, I would chain on 11 stitches, but I'm going to start with 13 stitches today. Okay, now I have my 13 stitches. I like to work in the back bumps only as I come back. So I'm going to do a slip stitch into this back bump. And I'm going to continue to slip stitch all the way across in each of the back loops only. And when you're doing this, make sure you do so loosely because it will be hard to work back and forth if you're not doing it loosely. Next, we want to chain 1, turn our work, and this is where our pattern repeat will begin for the brim of your hat. So we're going to slip stitch straight across again, but only in the back stitch. So in the back loop only, that back loop, we're going to slip stitch straight across. And make sure you're counting. We should have 12 stitches that we are slip stitching into. So I did 3, okay, so I have 12 stitches going across. Sometimes it can be hard when you're working up to get to see that last stitch once you're getting towards the end. So always make sure you have the proper stitch count. So again, we're going to just repeat that pattern. And we're going to continue working up. That's what gives it the ribbing effect, which is really cool. It makes it really stretchy. So keep working into the back loop only and just continue to slip stitch. You're going to do this. I'll come back on and I'll show you exactly how many rows that I have completed. But you're going to want to work up quite a few so that it can fit around your head with enough stretch that you have a little bit of give, but you don't want to have it be pulled really tight around your head. So you want to be able to have it just stretch slightly to fit around your head. So I'll come back on as soon as I've got mine worked up. Okay, I have finished working up 41 rows on each side, or 82 total. You can do more or less than this if you feel you need to. I feel like this will have enough stretch where it will fit enough of a variety of sizes. But again, if you want a little more snug fit around the brim and leave the top a little bit looser so it stays on, that's also optional. So I went ahead and I chained 1. I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to join our last row to our first row. So to do that, I'm just going to do a slip stitch from the back loop only into the first back loop only. And we're just going to keep finding those stitches all the way across and slip stitching to join. So go ahead and complete that. Okay, I have now slip stitched my brim together, so it looks like this. Should have a tube. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a smaller size hook. I'm going to go from my 6.5 down to a 5.5. This will just give the top a little bit of a tighter fit. I wanted to work up my brim quickly, or a little bit more quickly. Slip stitches take a while, so that's why I used a bigger hook here, and then it gives it a little more stretch. But for the top, I want to make it a little bit tighter so that it really stays warm. We're going to start by chaining 2, and then we have to pick up our stitches around the brim. Now I'm going to pick up 74 stitches. Again, this is going to be about a size XL. So if you want it to be a little bit smaller or a little more snug, then I would suggest taking off a couple of stitches, maybe 2 stitches for each size. So play around with it a little bit, see what you need to do, but go ahead and pick up 74 stitches all the way around, and they're going to be double crochets that we're picking up. So we're just going to go in and do double crochets. So again, just pick up the stitches as you work your way around, and I'll meet back with you at the beginning. So now I'm going to slip stitch to the first stitch of the round. Now this time I'm not going to go into my chain 2 because I'm going to be crocheting around both of them from here on out. So I'm going to slip stitch in here. I'm going to then chain 2, and then I'm going to do front post double crochets again all the way around for each round here on out. So I'm going to go for the first stitch, we have to go around both the chain 2 and our first stitch. So go ahead and do that, and then continue on with your front post double crochets. We're just going to work this hat up as long as you would like it. If you kind of try it on throughout, I'll come back and I'll let you know how many more rows I end up doing before I start my decreases. But just keep working it up for several rows, and I'll meet back with you once mine's built up enough. So I have now worked up 16 more rows after my initial row of double crochets that I picked up around my brim. So after that double crochet row, I picked up 16 rows. I'm about to slip stitch to that row, and now we're going to start our decreases. I did a few extra rows because I want it to be a little more of a slouchy style hat, and I want to have the option to fold up the band if I want it that way. So that's why I did so many rows. You may not need that many. If you want a tighter fit, or you don't want as much material hanging off the top, don't add on as many rows. I would cut off around, I would only do about 10 rows or so, and then I would start the decreases. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to again do our front post double crochets. However, we're going to start decreasing. So I'm going to start with a decrease, and I'm going to do that every 6th stitch. So I'm going to do a decrease, and then I will do 5 of my regular front post double crochets, and then I will do another decrease. So we'll go ahead and do 5 more. And now we want to do another decrease because this is our 6th stitch. Well, technically our 7th because we decreased over the first 2. And then we're going to go ahead and continue that pattern all the way around. And you're actually going to continue a decrease pattern all the way up. So the next round, it'll be every 5th stitch that will decrease, and following that, we'll do every 4th stitch of a decrease, and then every 3rd stitch, every 2nd stitch, etc. So we'll make our way around, and I'll meet back with you after we've been decreasing on every stitch around. I just wanted to hop on and show you how I start my slip stitch and then my decreases. So again, we're going to chain 2, and then because we had stitched these 2 together, you have to work around both those stitches as well as your initial chain 2. So we're going to start and do another decrease right away. And then this time we're only going to do 4 stitches in between. So we're going to do 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, and on our 5th stitch we're going to do the decrease. So you can see where we decreased last time. So we're going to work around both of those, start our decrease, and then finish it through the next stitch. So that's the pattern we're going to continue all the way up. So again, next time we'll have 3 stitches in between, then 2, then we'll be decreasing every one, and we'll probably have to do a couple rows of decreasing every single one, but I'll come back and I'll show you what to do there. So I've gotten to this point on my decreases where I decreased on every single stitch going around, and I have 11 stitches remaining. As long as you're under 12 stitches remaining, you should be fine to cut off your tail and stitch up your hole. So that's what I'm going to do at this point. If you want to go around one more time and decrease on every single stitch, or if you get to this point and you have more than 12 stitches, you need to do another round of decrease on every single stitch. So I'm going to cut off a tail, and I'm going to leave it long enough so that I can close up my hole. Okay, so now we're going to go around and stitch it up. To do this, I'm going to work in the front loop only, and I'm just going to push my needle through that front loop of each stitch. Okay, now once we're back at the front here, we're just going to pull our loop tight, and you can see how nicely that closed off our top once you pull it as tightly as you can. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to string it through a few times to try to close that up a little bit more, and then I will show you what it looks like reversed. Okay, so now we have our hat complete. This is what it looks like on this side, and on the back side it's going to have a totally different look. Here's the top on the back side, and there you have it. Again, this is an XL, and this will work perfectly if you want to find a reversible hat for anybody in your life. You can also add a fur topper or a poofy ball topper that you made from your yarn. I like this because you can flip up the brim if you need to. Gives it another different look. So a great hat style with lots of different options for you. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and share. And please subscribe to my channel so you stay up to date on all my current projects. If you want the written pattern for any of my projects, you can find them at www.abcutecreations.com. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day.